that region.
I'm joined here in the studio by Ziya Meral, a Turkish analyst, director as well on the Centre of Religion and Global Affairs. Thank you for being with us. Two very different opinions there. What's going to happen given the agendas of Turkey and the US seem to be quite different?
They are indeed different. I think there are a lot of details that are still up in the air. The agreement that we saw between President Obama and President Erdogan clearly signaled a new phase where there will be a much more direct military cooperation between the US and Turkey. But there's a big elephant in the room, and that is that both countries have different short and long-term aims and interests and security threat perceptions over Syria. So obviously for Turkey, it's not simply the question of ISIS that matters. What happens in Syria overall, as well as the advances of PKK-related groups in Syria is a matter of concern, as well as 2 million plus refugees that the country hosts. But US is specifically about ISIS. So we will see how they will both balance these completely differing matrices of evaluation of their policies and how it will unfold practically.
We've been hearing quite a few voices out of Turkey in the past week saying there hasn't been a lot of bombing of Islamic State targets. The focus has mostly been the PKK. And just in the past hour or so, we have been hearing from President Erdogan. He's been speaking. He vowed to continue the fight against the PKK. Let's have a little listen now to a bit more of that interview that we had with Jeremy Bowen and the Turkish Prime Minister.
Up to 40,000 people were killed in the 90s in the war between those two parties. Is it the case that your real worry is actually not what's going on in Syria, but your real worry is the Kurds?
No. First of all, let me change the terminology. It was not a war, it was a terrorist attack. You cannot call, if Al-Qaeda attacks Britain, you cannot say a war between Britain and Al-Qaeda. This is a terrorist attack. And a terrorist group, PKK, a Marxist-Leninist terrorist group from Cold War time, became active, and Turkey had to fight against this threat. Again, this is not a war against Kurds, neither in Syria nor in Iraq. We have to separate these.
We've seen attacks step up in the past week, not just from the government, but also the PKK attacking police stations and things like that. With Turkey embroiled in this particular conflict, building up as well to potential elections and all of the rhetoric around all of that, how do you think it could complicate the whole battle against Islamic State, that we've already got Turkey so embroiled in the battle against PKK?
Turkey sees ISIS as a threat, and ISIS is a threat against Turkey too. I think we will see an increasing acceleration of Turkish response to ISIS. We have seen a lot of arrests of ISIS networks within the country. We have seen tightening of the borders, and now the train and equipping program, which developing militants to fight against ISIS, is troubled, but it is continuing. So, and US jets are increasingly arriving into Turkey, and more operational details are being enshrined. In the immediate future, PKK attacks are the most immediate threat at this moment. As we have seen, more than 30 Turkish police officers and soldiers have been killed in PKK attacks. Obviously, no sovereign country in the world will allow a militant organization to exist within its borders and attack its own security personnel. So Turkey faces this threefold security challenge. ISIS on one hand, on the other hand PKK, and the DHKPC, which is the extremist leftist organization that attacked the US embassy, but also the overall conditions in Syria, whether it is Assad-related groups or whether it is the overall chaotic mess of a civil war that has lasted some 4 years now with 900 kilometers long border to Turkey. That's a serious direct security threat for as well too. So if you move away from a focus on exclusively on ISIS, then some of the decisions Turkey takes, which has to entertain a complex web of threats, actually makes more sense. And it will take time, but we are seeing a much more aggressive Turkey and ISIS from now on.
Ziya Meral, thank you very much for joining.